Today for New Music Monday, we're going to check out the brand new release from Mazzy Star, and it's called Seasons of Your Day. Mazzy Star will forever remain one of my all-time favorite groups, as they've always been able to create these moods that were far beyond almost anybody else. So to say that I was a little bit psyched when they announced they had a new album and tour coming up is a massive understatement. This is the group's first full album of new music in about 15 years, and it's their first new music of any kind since that double A side they put out a few years ago. But apparently they've actually been recording parts of this album on and off since the late 90s, and they've also said there's a few albums worth of unreleased material that came out of these sessions. Getting to the actual music, the album starts off with a bit of a strange tone. I can't really describe what it is about the keyboards on the opening track that bother me, but for me, they really get in the way of the music even though they're not too far forward in the mix, and the awkward balance that happens because of the keyboards makes the song a bit boring and maybe even a bit annoying at times. Honestly though, it's just the keyboards here that bother me, and it might just be me, it might just be one of those odd musical moments. Because thankfully, this is a one-off thing, as the album quickly slides into that gorgeous sound that you'd expect from Mazzy Star. You know, that completely enveloping, dreamy pop sound that we've all come to love over the decades. It's songs like I've Gotta Stop that really show you where the album goes, because it has this great loose blues feel to it. And that's really the shift you hear all across the whole album, as there's this heavy, almost country, western, and bluesy sound that fits really well with the group's tone. Along with this, the reverb on Hope Sandoval's vocals sounds as good as ever. And it's that echo that remains one of the best parts of any of the group's songs. I mean, come on, how can you not fall in love with that voice? But that country western feel is really reinforced by things like that slide guitar, there's harmonica, and just the overall tone and mood of this record, and it really shows you where the band is at this point, and you can judge whether that's good or bad for yourself. The standout in this album has to be the title track, as it has this beautiful cold stillness to it. And try as hard as you want, this is just one of those songs you're gonna fall in love with. But even with these great sounds and tones intact, I will say that the album does start to become a bit repetitive, especially at the tail end of the record. It's not completely a bad thing, but you will find your mind drifting away a little bit, as the music does tend to repeat itself. The other element on this album that really didn't sit well with me is the lack of a consistent mood or flow, as it does get into those intense dream pop moments that we've come to appreciate over the years, but then they quickly shift back into that more guitar-driven country mood. And while they're both enjoyable, it's the track ordering that really prevents you from digging into this album. I'll freely admit that I had much higher expectations for this album, but the flow of the record really bothered me. Because with a band like Mazzy Star, that flow, that seamless transition from song to song is a huge part of their music. But even with that all being said, when these two lock in musically, these songs are as good as ever, and there's some absolute gems on this album. And on the Buy It or Borrow It, the new album from Mazzy Star is a strong borrow it. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you dug it. If you did, go ahead and click subscribe, leave a comment, click like, whatever you want to do. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook right here, and I'll see you guys again next time.